What was once the Polk County Courthouse now serves as the Polk History Center and houses the Historical Museum and Library. The museum serves Polk's community through special events, volunteer opportunities, and educational programs. The museum's exhibits and programs continue to grow and change as new information and artifacts become available. More details are coming up next on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Tina Mann, and joining me in the studio today is Murtis Young, the Historic Preservation Manager at the Polk History Center.
Tina, we love to come to the studio and talk about history.
Well, I'm excited about this month because Florida has a very rich Hispanic heritage, and it's also continuing to grow. It's one of the, quickest growing ethnicities around. And in honor of that, and in honor of Spanish Heritage Month, which begins on September 15th, you guys have some cool things planned.
We do. First, one of the greatest tools that we offer at the History Center is a driving tour around Florida. And these are the Florida Spanish Colonial Heritage Tours. These are produced by the Florida Division of State, and it's the Division of Historical Resources. They're fabulously exciting. It's a history lesson for families to navigate around Florida, discover our Spanish heritage sites. The book has history lessons in it. It has information about trails and museums, but more importantly, and it's so exciting, there are kids pages and activities. So we recommend that if you like to do traveling day trips by motor car, come by, pick one of these up, and enjoy traveling around Florida and discovering our Spanish colonial heritage.
That's awesome, and those are free.
They are free.
They are free. So, and we were discovering that it's in Spanish and English, so it serves a lot of our communities. So it'd be great. Also, our Lunch and Learn for this month is really fascinating.
We are so pleased. It's Spanish Heritage Month, but it's also a time when we have recognizing a difference, a change in the relationships between the United States and Cuba. And so we are very pleased on September 20th, our Lunch and Learn will feature Dr. Jose Garcia. And the feature will be about the documentary that he produced, The Mariel Boat Lift. Now, this is such an exciting opportunity for us. Dr. Garcia is a professor on staff at Florida Southern College. At age 13, he joined his family in 1980 and made that treacherous trip across the Florida Strait from Cuba to Florida during this period of time. And it was just that short period of time when Castro allowed Cuban nationalists to leave Cuba and come to the United States. That was during that period of time, the families that already were in the state or in the United States arranged for about 1,700 boats from Miami and Key West to travel to Cuba, to Mariel, and pick up these families and bring them. These were not boats that were equipped for this treacherous travel. So some of those boats were lost, some of those lives were lost. So to hear the story of this period of time when this gentleman, age 13, made this trip, and not only the story about his experience, but he traveled back to Cuba and met with other families. I think about 20 families were interviewed for this documentary. So he is going to come share that experience with us of that period of time, age 13, arriving in the United States, being processed in Miami, not knowing what your future is going to be, and to be able to come back at this particular time and talk about his journey and the journey of a 13-year-old boy. So we are extremely happy that the adult Dr. Garcia will be here to share that story with us.
It sounds so interesting. I mean, they had to just pick up and leave. I mean, they weren't allowed to take anything. So, I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. And another perspective, a female perspective on it is actually what we're highlighting in the recommended reading this month.
The book for the reading is also, as well, extremely fabulous. Myrta Ojito was a young woman who made that same trip, and she published Finding Mañana, which is a memoir of a Cuban exodus. And the interesting part about the book is that that was the name of the boat that she was to find when she was a young girl. Same thing, a very frightening journey, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what would happen to you when you get here, but knowing that there was a reason to leave Cuba and come to the United States. And so people made that commitment, the families here, and and sponsoring their families and then making that trip. And I think especially as these people are very, very young adults, barely teenagers, made that trip, and they have shared that story with us. So we're hoping that people will find that book. It's just a vibrant, moving memoir of her life, leaving Havana, being raised there, and coming to the United States, and then now recalling those memories. So we're hoping that you'll find the book, Finding Mañana, a memoir of a Cuban exodus by Mirta Ojito.
That sounds really interesting. And of course, for our families, we have our Curators of Curiosity programming, which is also featuring Hispanic heritage.
Right. What we try to do, Tina, in our themes for the month, we try to weave everything that we're doing at the History Center into that particular theme. So our Curators of Curiosity also are going to learn about Florida's Spanish colonial heritage. Their little journey will begin in 1513 with the arrival of Ponce de Leon, and the early beginnings of Florida from St. Augustine down the coast and into Polk County. They're going to learn, they're going to trace Florida's evolution in the from the Spanish early colony, and then they also are going to be able to take a little agricultural journey and learn about the Spanish influence of agriculture in Polk County. We always think of citrus, and bringing those oranges across the Atlantic and having that vitamin C and being able to eat citrus to ward off scurvy, and learning that those seeds were very vibrant in the Florida soil. And we know about the cattle that came across, but then there's also another animal that traveled across with the Spaniards, and those were the pigs, the oink oinks.
Really?
And so Jamie's going to take our little Curators of Curiosity on an agricultural tour of the Spanish influence on agriculture in Florida as well.
Her little agriventure.
A little agriventure, yes, with the Spanish influence.
And speaking of Curators of Curiosity, we had a cool program in July where it featured voting, and everybody got to come in and vote. I'm curious as to what those results ended up being.
We tallied it, straw ballot, but we tallied it, and we have discovered that young voters are very creative. So I have my notes here. The results are in. So we created an opportunity for them to cast a ballot in the upcoming presidential elections, and here's what the tally resulted in. We had 188 votes that we counted. 101 of those votes were cast for Donald Trump. 65 votes were cast for Hillary Clinton. 8, imagine these, young minds said, I vote for neither. So we actually had little neither selections. We had 6 that in their little crayon voted for me.
Were they write-in?
They were write-in. They wrote in me for president. The interesting thing about that, though, is that they were reading the book Duck for President. So they got the idea that, hey, I might like to be president like Duck. So they voted for me. There were 4 who voted for Bernie Sanders, 1 for Ben Carson, 1 for Ted Cruz, 1 for John Kasich, and 1 vote for Grady Judd. So there's the election.
And were all those write-ins?
Those were write-ins.
So it's so funny that these kids are remembering these candidates' names who aren't even the nominees. So
we were fascinated that they had that kind of creativity. And we've posted it. The election returns, little ballots, are posted in this little small exhibit. So if folks want to come down and check it out, we'd love for them to come and see that. It's really fun.
That is so funny. And then also coming up, as usual, is the architectural tour.
One of my favorite things at the History Center is our architectural tour because, of course, as everybody knows, it is my opinion that the Polk County History Center is the most important piece of architecture in Polk County. So once a month, on this month will be Saturday, September 17th at 11 o'clock, we offer the architectural tour, and it is a curated tour, a guided tour through the architecture of the History Center with stories about the building and about the restoration. Every month we feature an important architectural feature of the center, and this month it's going to be about the courthouse dome. We have a lot of questions about the dome. Of course, most people want to know if they can go up in the dome, and although I'd love to be able to take them up, and sometime in the future, I'm sure we'll be able to do that, but right now we can't go into the dome, so we'll tell everybody about the story of the dome. And the nice thing about it, an interesting thing, is the dome has changed. The facade has changed over the last 108 years. The materials that were used for the roof material has changed. The inside has changed a little bit. The mechanisms of the clock have changed. So I hope everybody will come and take that tour and learn how things in the dome are the same but different.
I think that's probably one of the most recognizable things that everybody knows. Oh, the building with the dome on it. So I think that's really awesome. You guys are going to be closed Labor Day weekend on Saturday.
We're going to, I guess everybody's going to go to the beach, so we're going to join them and go to the beach. So the History Center will be closed September 3rd, and then we'll open again the next week, regular hours, Tuesday to Saturday from 9 to 5.
And we always like to kind of talk about our heritage partners, and we have a couple that actually have events coming up.
We do. We're excited to announce that on September 1st, Thursday from 5 to 8, we invite everybody to go to Winter Haven for the dedication and the ribbon cutting of the Dairy Down. If the name Graham Parsons rings a bell or reminds everybody of a tune, that's the importance and the significance of the Dairy Down, his early beginnings of his musical career. So the building that he started his career in has been restored and going to have a celebration, and it's now recognized as a historic site and listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So come on down to the Dairy Down, a little dancing and enjoying the memories of Graham Parsons.
And that'll be on September 1st from 5 to 8. And then Bach Tower actually is expanding.
Wow. Bach Tower has completed their capital projects and will be opening September 10th to their grand opening and the celebration of the Pollinator Garden, the Hammock Hollow Children's Garden, the Wild Garden, the Outdoor Kitchen, and the Edible Garden. So we hope everybody will travel over to Lake Wales to Bach Tower for these exciting new opportunities. The gates will open at 8 o'clock, and general admission for the day is free.
Oh, that's awesome. I know, it's such a beautiful place to visit, and the new expansions are so exciting.
Actually have some interaction with growing things over there.
Exactly. So it's an exciting time at the History Center to visit, and I know you guys are also working on, some exhibit transitions and some other exciting stuff coming up in the future.
More to come. Always more to come.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tina.
Polk County has a rich history and heritage, and the Polk County History Center is continuously thinking of new ways to help Polk residents experience that history. The museum's collection includes natural and cultural objects related to Polk and the greater Central Florida area that represent our history from pre-Columbian to present-day eras. The artifacts on display at the museum represent individuals, cultural groups, and events significant to the region. Located at 100 East Main Street in Bartow, the History Center is open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information about exhibits and events, you can check them out on the web at polkhistorycenter.org or give them a call at 863-534-4386.